Today I'm going to be starting with this little plastic bowl dip dish that I got from the Dollar Tree and my razor blade that I also got from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just heating the tip of the razor blade. Now please be careful when doing this. But you want to just make sure that it's nice and hot. And then I'm going to go around the bottom of the plastic dish and just remove the bottom of it. So I'm just going around the edge here. And I felt like as long as I kept the tip of that razor blade hot, it made a nice cut, and I went around it a couple times, and I was able to push the bottom through, and it broke off into about 4 or 5 different pieces, but it gave me a nice cut around the edge with no breaking of the plastic on these sides. I'm then going to take my Wise Owl white primer. Whenever painting plastic, metal, glass, anything like that, you want to make sure that you prime so that the paint has something to grab to. And I'm applying that with a Gen foam brush. The Gen is just a brand, but it's a great brand. You don't have any breaking off of the foam when using it. And you want to give that one good coat. Next, I found this air dry clay from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to use a very small piece of it. So you're just going to break off what you need. And I'm going to make almost a half of a ball, but then I want the edges to be nice and flat. Now, I don't want this to be too big, but I want it to be able to lay very nicely against my plastic dish. And I'm just going to form the edges so they're a little more flat and then have the center a little round. And you do want to remove that to allow the air dry clay to air dry and fully dry. Once the primer was dry, I took some Wise Owl Republic Red and I gave that a good coat around the entire outside. Now that probably did take 2 coats, and then I allowed my air dry clay to dry for several hours, and then I painted that using the Wise Owl Black. And I want everything to fully dry before I move to the next step. Once my dish was dry, I took some black paint and I'm making a little triangle on one of the, I'm going to call it the back side of the dish. And I'm just freehanding this. It's just very simple triangle on the back side. And I'm just using a small art brush to do that. And this is what that will look like. Next, I have a very small dabber. I order my foam dabbers off of Amazon. They come in a variety of sizes. This is one of the smallest sizes. And I'm going to go around the outside of the dish with some black paint and make little dots. And now the foam dabber just allows me to create these circles very easily. And you can add as many as you would like. Next, I'm going to take some E6000 and that piece of clay that we allowed to dry. And you want to make sure your paint is fully dry before you do any of this. And I'm going to attach it to the side of the dish. Now you want that black triangle we painted to be on the back side. And then you're going to glue this piece of clay on the front side. And it is going to be the head. Now the E6000 does take a few hours to dry, so I'm just using some blue painter's tape to hold it in place. You can add a little hot glue. Just anything so it doesn't slide off. Now I'm going to go back to the air dry clay and I'm going to make 2 really small circles. You want them to be kind of flat. I feel like anything flat is just going to adhere a little better when it's time to glue it. Now before painting those, I do want that to dry completely. Once they were dry, I just added them to my painter's tape so I could have a little more control of them. But I'm going to set that aside for 1 second. And I have these paper clips. Now, if you just have regular metal paper clips, that would be better, but I did not. Mine had the color on them, so it's almost like a rubber coating. And I'm going to remove that with the razor blade. I just want a plain metal. And I'm just going to make a little twirl at the top. And I did this to 2 paper clips, and I want to make sure that they're the same length. I have this little small hand drill. You can use any drill or anything that will just give you a small little hole at the top of your head here. And you want it to be very tiny. And this is where we are going to place the paper clips. I added a little E6000 to the bottom of them, and I just placed them inside those small holes that we created. So this is what we have so far. I went back to the 2 circles we created and I painted them white. And then I added a small little dot of black to the center, and this is going to be the eyes. Now I feel like you do not even have to add a face to this ladybug if you do not want to. It depends the look you're going for, but you can finish it off like I'm going to with 2 little eyes that I'm just going to hot glue once everything was dry. Now I made a hole here so I could add a succulent. You can use an artificial succulent and it will sit at the top. And I decided to go back and just add a small little smile to my ladybug with some mix of Republic Red and Snow Owl. I feel like you could make this with any size dish. A really large one would also be extremely cute. I'm going to add some Wise Owl furniture salve as my top coat. This just will help protect the paint, especially if you're going to be changing the plant of your choice from it. And you just apply it, and then once it's applied, you're going to take a cotton towel and rub it in. You can also use the Wise Owl varnish or the Wise Owl 1 Hour enamel. Those are all really great top coats. And there we go. I think this came out really cute. It's just a little small ladybug plant holder. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Paint products, tissue paper transfers, and mesh stencils can all be found on our webpage at chalkitupfancy.com. And don't forget, you can also check out other tutorials on our webpage as well. Have a great day.